Quantic versus CLG, NA in the IPL5 wildcard qualifier. The score is 1-1. So, I mean, in this small round robin, it's only 4 teams. The winner of this could win the whole thing.
That's true.
This could be the deciding match.
Quantic's already 1-0. If Quantic wins this, they're up 2-0, which is a pretty good situation to take it.
Yeah, not having to play CLG NA again. They have to face Dignitas. And if that's it. That's their, I mean, they've played everyone. They'll have all the wins they need. Dignitas is really, if they win this, the last challenge to them, and it's what they need to be able to take it home. So we'll see. Hopefully they can win it out. But CLG NA, how do you think they've been playing?
Well, I mean, it's been really interesting to watch CLG NA at the very least. You know, they've been first game. Really strong early game. Both games we've seen that, a really strong early game. We're seeing them move around a lot more as a team, where they used to be a lot more isolated in their lanes. When Voyboy was there, Hotshot in the jungle, they were very passive. Hotshot would kind of clear his jungle. He would sit back. If something happened, yeah, he would run over there, you know, to join in on the fight. But we're seeing Chowster. He's very involved in the game. He's looking for ganks. They're tower diving early on. Big Fat is more involved than I've almost ever seen him. He's you know, constantly active for roaming and whatnot, and it's really working out well for them. They look pretty strong. The concern for them is going to be that they don't engage fights that they're not really getting benefit out of, because we've seen in game number 2 in particular, you know, they'll engage some fights and I don't know, just it's not a great fight for them, and they have when they have picks that can't really win those fights, it allows them to fall behind. So just tightening up their play. They're a little sloppy right now, it seems. Yeah. But we'll see what they can do. Quantic, on the other hand, they definitely have some nice strengths to them. That second game, very strong. Honestly, I think they need to stick to the Gragas, because it's it gives them that control, and they need to see what they can keep away from CLG. Malphite's banned. They don't have to worry about Malphite. Lee Sin, Vayne, Ring are all banned.
Interesting. Okay, so they picked Maokai first. And I was going to say the combination of Maokai and TF is incredibly strong, so I wouldn't be surprised to see TF. And then, right before I could say that, Big Fat LP takes TF and is taking that away from Quantic, because I think they know how strong that combination can be and the global presence that it brings.
We've seen that before.
Yeah, we saw that yesterday with
NYM Fnatic.
Yeah, and they won with that combination because they had the presence, and their ganks were so damn strong that they couldn't stop it. So not surprised.
And Quantic took TF the first game because they were concerned that Big Fat would take it.
Yeah, absolutely. So now, I mean, Gragas, I think, is the right call. I would have said before that TF would have been really strong, and there you go. There's Gragas. So not surprising there. We saw a really strong play out of Wild Turtle.
Tip of the hat.
Yeah, thank you. On Gragas, you know, and he did really well. And I was going to ask you, when was the last time that you saw a Twitch ban in competitive play?
You know, season 1, it was banned all the time because Twitch sucked. I hated playing against Twitch. Everyone hated playing against Twitch, but it has been a long time. Twitch was nerfed for a long time, so you have to say that Riot did a really good job with that remake. You know, the stealth changes and whatnot. Evelyn's been very popular. Overpowered to an extent for some time, but she seems to have fallen into a nice spot.
Yeah, I feel like people realized with Evelyn that it was mostly the DFG that was making her just exceptionally strong, and we're seeing changes. And actually, we saw, I don't know if you saw the leaked picture of the DFG now and the way it's going to be working. So that's going to be interesting. It's going to be like an amplified damage rather than a direct damage.
It is. It's still an activatable, but instead of a nuke, it's like Vladimir's ultimate. Yeah. It's bonus damage to whatever, what your abilities will do bonus damage to that person. So we'll see where they go. Caitlyn being picked up this time, and Caitlyn both games has been a loss. So Caitlyn game number 2, Doublelift actually got off to a really good start. Doublelift was able to really use that Caitlyn successfully.
Which is interesting because it seems like the prized possession in these, like they're kind of fighting for Caitlyn who's going to get it.
Vayne's banned.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
You know, between both of them, we talked about it in game number 1. Both of these players, Nien and Doublelift, they're very similar in the 80 spot. Both of them like Caitlyn and Vayne as their number 1 and 2.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And I wonder, I mean, I could see with such a divey, like the tower dives that CLG was doing in game 1, and just the overall aggression, the range on Caitlyn can offer a lot in that sort of comp. We didn't necessarily see that divey thing in game 2 as Caitlyn went to... actually, wait, CLG took Caitlyn in game 2, right?
Yes, they did.
And didn't do well.
They were still diving. They were still pushing aggressively. It's just Quantic did a nice job of turning that game around. So it was a really impressive game from CLG early on, but Quantic was able to bring it back.
Yeah. Interesting. So Zyra's getting picked up. And we saw Zyra ban in the last 2 games coming out of CLG.
Well, Zyra's an insanely strong support.
Yeah. As a support player, I could agree.
Yeah,
but no, she is really, really strong, and she can do a lot of lockdown, but she can also do a lot of damage, especially against slow, immobile champions like Sona, who specifically, I mean, she doesn't do well against Blitzcrank, Sona specifically, because of her lack of mobility. So throw someone in there who can do a lot of damage that can lock her down, and she's going to have a really hard time. So the Sona, Locodoco is going to have his work cut out for him.
Head on. Yeah, it is going to be interesting to see what Locodoco can do. But Ezreal and Sona has been a really strong lane for a long time.
Yeah.
We've seen that they get Hotshot actually Cho'Gath. So Nunu's going to be in the jungle. We've seen Chalister playing a lot of Cho'Gath recently. But Hotshot, like those were his champions back when he was top all the time. Nidalee, Cho'Gath. He would play Udyr and Aurelia also just because they were OP champions. But those were the champions that he really knew the insides and outs of. He was just like every single part of their trading mechanics, very strong with. It's an even matchup, Cho'Gath versus Aurelia. So, we'll kind of see what goes on there. And that's definitely going to be interesting. But Quantic, the Maokai pick, it was banned out the first 2 games. It's definitely a really strong pick as a jungler. He just puts on so much pressure. So we'll see what he can do, and if he can lock down TF, because Maokai versus TF, you can definitely pick up some kills in that mid lane. So it's going to be interesting to see how Big Fat performs.
Yeah, I think also the ganks in bot lane from Maokai on that Sona specifically is going to be really strong. They have a lot of CC in that bot. The E on Zyra can lock champions down for a considerable amount of time, especially once it gets to rank 3, rank 4.
Oh, and if she hits Sona ever,
she's dead.
Yeah, I mean, Sona will die.
That's the thing, and also, I mean, really,
Zyra
it's just
into a trap, Zyra snare into a trap.
Oh yeah, or just the net too. Like anything, any sort of CC on Sona, she's gonna have a really bad day. So it's gonna be exciting to see how that works out. And then Gragas, just for Quantic, just a really safe pick. We've seen Turtle really excel on Gragas, and he performed rather. Besides the missed ultimate at the beginning of Game 2, he was performing really well on Gragas. So not surprised there. I think really the confusing thing to me is why Caitlyn seems to be such prime real estate, because I mean Caitlyn is 0 for 2 in this set. Single target damage, doesn't have the escape or the mobility that a lot of other champions have, just that single target. So I'm confused a little bit as to why they keep preferring Caitlyn.
Well, she's one of the strongest ADs early in the game, and
that's true.
I mean, both of them like playing her. In the end, he's able to get a really nice farm lead. The previous game, you saw what Doublelift could do with her, because they were able to push down towers very quickly.
Yeah, true.
They're able to pressure the 2v1s, and both of these teams like swapping lanes. So I think because both teams have a tendency to swap lanes, it leaves open the opportunity to aggressively push. And there's probably going to be a swap this game as well. Cho'Gath's very strong in that 1v2. So we'll kind of have to see where they do with that. And they definitely want to make sure they can lock down Aurelia. So, I mean, that's a lot of where Caitlyn's coming in. But we'll see what they can do. Early game, Maokai is definitely going to be a terror. But once TF gets going, TF could really take control of that game. So it's going to be interesting to see how Chalister's Nunu is, and how aggressive he can be. I've seen his Lee Sin, Maokai, and Cho'Gath, and it's all been very strong so far. He's aggressive with tower diving. He's strong with counter jungling. So we'll see what he can do with Nunu.
Yeah, I'm very curious about how he's going to do, because I mean, last game he played Cho'Gath, not generally an aggressive champion. Really about playing slow, farming up, getting those stacks, and just having way more HP than your opponent in the middle of the game. In that mid game, he's really, really strong. Nunu, on the other hand, and then we see actually Chaucer playing Nocturne and Lee Sin, 2 champions that are very aggressive, and he seems to excel in that. Nunu seems to be kind of in the middle. I mean, can play passively, sit back, counter jungle, run away, or can dive into those lanes with a snowball and try to get some ganks. But I'm worried that Nunu isn't as aggressive enough for Chaucer to really excel and carry the game.
But he can counter jungle Maokai some.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
That's a great point. But I think Nunu, his movement speed for one, is where you see a lot of that strength. And I think a lot of people underestimate the Nunu movement speed with the Blood Boil early on in the game. Because imagine TF, who already has a spammable CC, to be able to just permanently kite you, and you can never get in on him because Nunu has so much mobility. So they can move in and out. Like, you look at their team, that's what they're characterized by. They have mobility of TF globally on the map, but they also have Sona and Nunu helping the team out with positioning. Cho'Gath can, lock down fights. So they have a team that's very good at kiting. and then they can try and pick off one person at a time, pick up someone, grab a kill. Early in the game, if TF's involved with Nunu, they can run around together, be buddies, and chase people down for kills, and then get back out of that situation. So it's going to be interesting to see. I'm really looking forward to it and see what Quantic can do, because both games, Quantic, they've been out of their element early in the game. And both games, CLG has completely dictated the tempo of the early game. They've been able to, push aggressively on Quantic, but Quantic has done a really good job of countering that as well, because whenever CLG would go for a push, Quantic was ready to take a dragon or take some turrets of their own.
Always great responses from Quantic, and I think I mentioned last game, or at the end of last game, that I was always really surprised because I thought CLG was always dominating. I was like, wow, they're up all these kills, all these dragons, all these towers, and I look, and the advantage actually isn't that big. And I think it's in what you're saying, in that when CLG takes an objective, Quantic is somewhere on the map to take another objective, whether it's a tower for a tower or a dragon for a tower. Whenever they do something, there's always a response, and it keeps them in the game even if they're behind. And that's actually a really, that's a strength of Quantic. They've learned how to, even if they're losing, they can still, get the scrapings. They can still get something that's going to help them keep them in the game.
But partially, you also have to question whether or not CLG is maybe shooting themselves in the foot by going for objectives in situations where Quantic can then pull ahead in gold. Because we've seen a couple of times, CLG would go for a kill, and they're trying to be aggressive against Quantic, and then they put themselves in a situation where they get the kill, but then Quantic gets something more important. They get a more significant objective. So, it'd be interesting to see, what CLG's thoughts are there, if they feel that sometimes they're over pursuing for some of these objectives and need to, try and bully around Quantic a little bit more. Because I think, partially it's a very aggressive style that we're seeing. It's very similar, again, to some of the Korean teams that we're seeing. And I keep on going back to Azubu Blaze, because that's what their play is kind of reminding me of. But when you see a Azubu Blaze and their aggressive pushing, they're manipulating their opponents where their opponents never have a response.
Yep.
Azubu Blaze, they push one lane, and then while their opponent is scrambling to try and take something else, all of a sudden Azubu Blaze has already reacted and taken something else.
Yeah.
And so it'd be interesting to see how CLG develops this further.
Yeah, no, I absolutely understand what you're saying. I mean, the thing, too, though, is, in some situations in the last game, CLG moved up to the top lane to take a tower, and in response, Quantic would take the dragon, this reactionary play. But at the same time, if CLG is mobilized in the top lane, and then they're like, oh, we made a mistake, we need to get out, and so we can go control dragon, well, it's like, well, it's way too late. So, there's like no winning at that point. It's like you have to get something because you're going to lose a dragon anyway. And that's actually a great place that Quantic puts themselves in, where it's like they've got CLG committing too hard to certain objectives, where like the objectives that they can take are no-brainers. It's like, well, it's obvious. They're up top. It's way... if they turn away and try to come after us, we still get the dragon. We're still going to get away. So they've learned really well how to take advantage of those situations.
One thing I'm curious about in this game, though, is we've seen CLG. They've been the aggressors for the most part in this series. They have the TF now, so they want to still be aggressive. Teleport on Hotshot, so that's a double teleport for their team. But Quantic, they have a really strong early game team. We've talked about Caitlyn, her strength early game. If they group up for early team fights, then Gragas and Zyra are easily going to shut down all of CLG. Like, Quantic is in a massive early advantage in team fights. And then Caitlyn has the range to sit behind them all and wait for them. Chalster walking right into Quantic, though. There's an Ignite already off the bat. He does flash out of there. So Gragas' Ignite is down, but he's going to be safe. But the question is, it really is going to come down to a lot of this game, CLG's early pressure versus Quantic's early team fighting, and how CLG is going to keep their team out of these massive AoE fights where Quantic is going to have an advantage, and then also how Quantic is going to respond to CLG, because Aurelia, once she hits 6, she's going to be tanky enough to stall a little bit. So the question is Quantic going to respond and help out for those ganks?
Yeah, absolutely. The AoE from Gragas and from Zyra is going to pose a real issue from CLG. And this is the same problem that we saw last game. Was TF was in the last game, right, with Turtle. And the short range, we're really concerned about that AoE. Is that going to pose a major problem for him? Is he going to be able to live through that? Is he going to be able to get the damage off that he needs? Can he do the sustained DPS that TF needs to be able to be successful? And that's going to be the real question. Zyra, super lockdown. Maokai can lock you down. Gragas can knock you around. There's a lot of potential on Quantic to really disrupt Big Fat LP on TF. TF, and you know that's a result of his short range. So we'll see how he does with that, if it's even possible for him to be relevant in the team fights.
And that's the interesting dichotomy of TF always, is the fact that if he sticks around for longer fights, his sustained damage and cooldowns are so great that he can win most fights that he lives through. But if he, you know, a lot of times because he's such short range, you can just burst him down before he gets anything going, and that's why Gragas is usually considered a counter to TF. You know, he can try and burst him down in that mid lane, or at the very least just push Big Fat into the tower where he doesn't have the options to leave as much. So it's definitely going to be a unique situation. Like the entire game, like the strategy of these two teams, they're very conflicting. It's a very, you know, push and pull kind of situation, and it's just who's going to be able to manipulate the game to come out on top. So we'll see what's going on. Cho'Gath, in the meantime, Hotshot, he's sitting down bot. CLG, they're looking for that lane swap once again. You know, so I think Quantic, they have to expect it though, because the teleport on Cho, they have to know that, you know, they're going for it. It's happened the past 2 games. Quantic actually did the lane swap in the second game, so I'm curious if Quantic's actually going to allow Aurelia to sit up in that top lane against the strong harass of Sona and Ezreal, or if they're actually going to send Aurelia down bot to lane against Cho.
Yeah. Will be interesting to see. And Ezreal playing it safe, Sona coming around. This could be a terrible situation for Locodoco. Starting in the back to see, do they catch anyone ever? It looks like not. It looks like they're just going to stick around, try to control this red buff. And Quantic's in a pretty good place to steal this.
I think they saw him when he walked right past.
I think so. I think
tree.
you're right. I think it looks like... Oh gosh. Okay, we'll see if they go around, and here they go. They're going to try to make a move, trying to stop that double golem.
Oh wow. He lost it. He lost vision. When he lost
that what
vision
happened?
Around the corner, it stopped the twisted advance. So Locodoco getting out of there by the slimmest of margins. He still could have flashed into the turret, and that almost could have hurt, could have killed Maokai, but he barely gets out of there. Nien taking a lot of damage from these mini golems, but they're actually going to stop that and then transfer over to the red. But Chowster, because they're so slow up here, he knows he can maybe run down, maybe take a red, as Hyel9 is still stuck up in the top.
Yeah, that was a really significant event in the early game. If Sona would have, you know, used that flash, that could have really set up a strong level 2 gank. That could have allowed Quantic to put a lot of pressure in the lane. Sona does not do well without that mobility of that flash, that safety net. So now, I mean, she still has it, so she's going to be in pretty good shape and can play a little bit more aggressive. If she didn't have that.
Snare going off, Locodoco, he backs off. Maokai is still up top. They had vision of him there, so Chowster, he knows he's perfectly safe. He was able to grab the red. He was able to grab the big Wraith. And still, Maokai's a little bit behind. He's still trying to get some pressure, moving down to the mid lane. Maokai it doesn't really matter if he falls behind that significantly. You know, he's still going to be very strong in most situations. He wants to get off a lot of early ganks. So Chowster actually coming mid because he knows Maokai wants to force his gank. It's perfect positioning by Chowster.
And here comes High coming in, trying to get the twisted advance off. Just goes to a minion, playing it safe. And Chowster's presence there really scared him off.
And while that was happening, top lane crushed by Double Lift and Locodoco.
Yeah, significant poke damage coming out there. And, I mean, that's one of the downfalls of Zyra. She has low life and low mobility, similar to how Sona works, except she doesn't have the benefit of that heal. So the sustainability isn't there. She doesn't have the same effect as Sona. So she really relies on making sure she hits those skill shots and does that damage. But if she's way behind, she's getting poked down, she's going to have a really hard time. She can get caught out by those pokes and get burned down pretty quickly.
And a lot of it just comes down to the skill of Locodoco. In the meantime, it seems that CLG, they're coming over for this blue. Big Fat, he's in a great situation to take this, but can he grab it in time? Chowster, he actually holds on to it. Wild Turtle in a terrible situation. Double lift, double flashing, trying to pick it up. He's going to be able to grab that. There's the first blood. The rest of the team not looking so hot. There's the flash, or there's the stun. They're able to pick up even through the cleanse on Caitlyn. So 2 kills already for CLG. They're being extremely aggressive, and that aggression, it's partially due to the Nunu diving in for elimination. He's incredibly low. Big Fat, he's going to be able to grab this stun, and they should be able to grab this double lift, just barely backing off in time. Hyel9, he's trapped as well. They might get all 4 kills here. I'm
pretty sure they're going to. He's so low, and he can tank so much damage, and he gets hit. Oh, and he flashes out after the twisted advance, and it looks like he's going to make it out. That was an amazing play by a High to save himself from dying, but this is a really bad position. Maokai doesn't have blue. Ooh, a flash from Nien trying to get a kill on Loco. Here comes Big Fat. You don't have any mana. You just have that gold card. Oh, on High flashes charges in, takes them out.
Chowster's coming in, the slow onto Nian. He doesn't have enough damage to take them down.
Oh my gosh.
5-0 for CLG, and Wild Turtle still wants to fight. He jumps in with the body slam. He gets the barrel up, but he can't grab anyone. Another stun from Big Fat. Can he kite enough? The movement speed from Nunu, almost enough to get him out of there, but he does trade. It's 6-1, and Lemon Nation trying to grab a kill over the wall, but Loco Doco backs off. CLG 6-1 already in this game.
That is a really significant lead, and it was all because Quantic came in to come and help out with that blue and face checked into that bush and didn't expect 4 members of CLG to be there to fight him, and it cost him a lot. Nunu's level 5.
It's Nunu. All of that, a lot of that is built on the strength of Nunu. So
yeah.
TF with his spammable stuns early on, Ezreal with his mobility, and Sona with the poke. So all of them, they're an incredibly strong early level team.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they push that advantage. Hyel Nai, he's coming down, but Chowster is walking in right behind him. If Hotshot can get this Rupture to set up Chowster, they might be able to get another kill to set him up, but it seems Hyel Nai just barely is going to get out. They might actually die for this.
And they're a little bit tanky even at these early levels, and Nunu is incredible. Cho'Gath level 6 already. Nian is level 2. Is that what I just saw?
Nian is level 2.
Hotshot is level 6.
Double level 4, and Hotshot's level 6.
Okay, so that is 3 times the levels. So CLG off to a pretty good start, needless to say. And it was all because of that early aggression. And Nunu doesn't do a lot of damage, to be completely honest. However, level 3, level 4, those snowballs are going to hurt pretty bad.
The snowballs and the movement speed. Like we talked about, the movement speed allowed them to kite in and out. So they were always able to just back off so that they're never fighting a full, like the entire early level fight. They were never fighting like a full 4v4. It was 4v1 always, because they were able to back off because of that movement speed and then pick up a kill. It seems Hotshot might be going in for this. He picks up the kill with the feast instantly. The Nunu ultimate trying to take down Yazuki. They back out of there, but they have to watch out for Wild Turtle on the backside.
Let's see if he can get a snowball to prevent some damage. Yazuki looks like he's ready to dive right in, but Nunu with that blood boil looks like he's going to get out.
Big Fat can come down too. Big Fat, he's going to ult in. He wants to pick up Yazuki. There's the teleport. He gets the stun. The wild card's over the wall. One more attack. Big Fat can grab this, but the body slam from Wild Turtle barely gets him out of there.
And really good play from Big Fat, and also good play from Yazuki, knowing good flash to get out of there. Or it wasn't a flash. How did he get out of there? Was it a flash? I think it was.
Okay. No, he just walked away, and Gragas, the body slam, saved him. He just walked away.
Just really close stuff. But look at the aggression from CLG. This is like game 1 doubled up. They're just really invading, getting in, playing really strong, playing really aggressive. And that's what they need to do, because in game 1, that's what they did, and it worked. They did tons of tower diving. Game 2, Cho'Gath on Chowster playing it a little bit slower, and as a result, they didn't get to play the game that they wanted to play, the super aggressive game. And now look at them. Look at that giant advantage, 7-1. It's 4K gold advantage at 8 minutes into the game.
That's absolutely
that is going to lead to a dirty snowball, and it's going to be really difficult for Quantic. They need to make something happen. They need to catch people out. But I mean, we're looking at Nian at level 4. We're looking at Ezreal on double lift. He's level 6. That 2-level advantage. As soon as Sona hits level 6, they can't lane. Quantic will not be able to lane until they hit 6. So they can just push them out and be really, really scary.
Yeah, that's the issue right now. It's the 4K gold advantage, and it's not like CLG and Quantic are going to be just like grouping up and fighting right now. It's the fact that every single lane is at an advantage for CLG right now, and CLG is just going to bully them out of minion range, so they're not going to be able to farm as effectively. And slowly, that 4K gold advantage, it's going to potentially turn into a 6K gold advantage or a level advantage that then when they do group up, is just too massive of a lead for them to come through. Chowster, again, being aggressive. He goes in for another red steal. He completely owns Hyel 9's jungle right now. Hyel 9, I mean, they have no map control. Wild Turtle tries to come down, tries to see if maybe they're going for a tower dive on Aurelia, so they're going to be able to back out of there. But who knows? They might even go in with it with this early lead. They have to watch out for Wild Turtle, though. Oh, and then Gragas ultimate knocks him out, but Yazuki goes down so quick. Will he be able to get Nunu? No, Turtle is freaking out. He's trying to run away. There's, with the... Okay, he's going for it. He's going for the dive. There's the Rupture. It lands the silence. Hotshot picks up the kill. Sona goes down in the meantime, but Big Fat and Double Lift, they're up here. They're able to take down Caitlyn, and they're also, Ezreal should be able to grab this. The Mystic shot with the Ezreal teleport. He gets over the wrong wall, but flashes over the Baron, and now Big Fat chasing down High L9, using that mobility advantage. It's almost an ace, but they're, you know, just barely respawning. Aurelia comes up, and then Maokai barely gets out of there to prevent the 9-minute ace.
And now we're at a almost 7K gold advantage, and that's the thing. It's we've said it before. We ripped it from StarCraft. We don't care. When you're ahead, you get more ahead, and you do that by ganking a lot, by pushing and putting a lot of pressure, and by taking objectives. So as we continue on to this game, you're going to see a lot of objectives being taken. Dragon probably pretty soon, and their presence on the map and their map control is just too strong right now. And that's the threat of TF. When you have this big of an advantage, you're never safe because he can pop out of nowhere and just kill you.
And this is among the most aggressive I've ever seen CLG
I agree.
before. A lot of times they used to just sit back for that late game. We've seen a lot of aggressive pushing strategies from CLG, but they tend to slow down. Usually their pushing strategies would falter early on. They would get some early towers or kills and then turn it into a slow, long game.
Yeah.
But right now, CLG is just completely abusing Quantic. And Quantic, they need to just sit back and try and stabilize the game right now. That is their only goal. They have a really strong mid game if they can get there and keep the gold even. You see Wild Turtle, he keeps on moving out of the mid lane because he's trying to sense where CLG is going to be. He's trying to sense where TF's going to be and be able to retaliate. And so a lot of times he's almost there in time, just he's slightly a little bit late, and CLG's already done their damage.
Yeah, I mean, and that's really how they're going to get back in the game, is Wild Turtle roaming and helping to take advantage of a situation where a member of CLG is by himself and gets caught out. He's not going to win by staying in lane against a hugely advantageous TF, who's just going to be poking him down and doing a lot of damage with the gold cards. That's just not a good situation for him. He's not going to be able to farm as well as he wants. So they need to do something big to get back in the game, to get over this 8K gold advantage. Oh my gosh, the poke from Sona. Here comes High on T.
Yeah, and they were trying to force it with Maokai here. There's the Zyra ultimate. Loco Doka's in a terrible spot. The trap underneath him just barely not proccing, but there's the Sona ultimate, and Doublelift and Loco Doka, they're going to win this exchange. Nunu coming up as well. There's the double kill, the triple kill for Ezreal. No, Chowster taking it at the last second. Big Fat is up here as well, so he's watching Wild Turtle. Big Fat has him on lockdown, and that fight, they know that Zyra and Caitlyn just hit 6, and they wanted to bring Maokai in. They're like, all right, great, let's force a fight. Let's try and get a kill and see what we can do with it. And then Sona just wrecked Nien. And
yeah.
He was like, wow, there's no way we can fight this now because I am so low. And they walked into the Sona ultimate. Perfect play by Loco Doka. The flash out from Wild Turtle, trying to get away from there. TF, is he going to port underneath the tower with Chowster there to back him up? But he barely gets out of it, so they back off. But the constant pressure, and now Hotshot down in the bottom lane. He's just zoning those minions off before they hit the turret.
Yeah, and CLG's looking really good right now.
That? Yeah.
I'm really impressed with CLG's play and the way they're playing this aggressive. This almost 10K lead at 12 minutes. That's going to be really hard for Quantic. This feels very Korean to me. And it's just like you're ignoring a lot of creep score, a lot of farm, but you're getting kills, you're taking level advantage, and you're pushing Quantic out of the game. CLG Black, with the 2 seeds, 3 seeds, just getting lit up there.
Get out, though. He gets the stun. He barely backs off. If Caitlyn can get in range, Caitlyn's ultimate is almost up, but he has Chowster to body block for him here. So he's barely able to get out of there. Nien, you are so screwed. You are way out of position. He's trying to get the kill, and that's just, they're so far behind at this point.
Yeah.
They know they need to make miracles happen. They need to try and make risky plays. So Nien, he was like, whatever. I'm going to go in.
Yeah.
I'm going to see if I can get a kill.
Or at least a golem or something, you know, like, or something.
At this point, that's what he's looking
anything. He just needs a little bit of an advantage. And I mean, he's playing from a deficit, and, you know, AD carry, it's a bad position to be playing from there.
It's going to be slow from Yuzuki. He can't get the stun. Hotshot teleporting out.
Pretty boss maneuver right there. He's like, I don't even care. I'm so tanky at this point. Man. You can hit me all you want. I'm just going to pour it out of here. He still has that level advantage, so he's a level ahead. He's got some gold. He's looking good shape, and he's playing the Cho'Gath game, which is slow, methodical farm, and then coming in when you're huge with your full stacks and you're just way bigger than your opponent.
And it's funny. You were saying they're being extremely aggressive, and a lot of times that Korean game, it's a low farm game, and they go a lot of times because they're pushing so much pressure. It's very
oh my gosh!
He wants to pick this up. TF coming in. They're getting even more kills, picking them up. But a lot of times it is a low farm game in that Korean scene, and puts a lot of pressure on early game carries. That's why early game carries are so strong. That's partially why Caitlyn's so strong, because she's strong without a lot of farming early.
But that's also why taking those early towers. The early towers can be really important.
It.
Oh my god.
Double lift, dodged the ultimate from Gragas, and then used the cleanse. If he gets out of here, he is very close to doing so. Big Fat trying to pick up a kill. If Big Fat gets out of there, the stun, the Sona ultimate. CLG, I can't believe they just won that.
Oh my god.
Another kill for double lift, and Chowster chasing him down. They might go for this underneath the turret. Chowster tanking. They back off.
13K gold at this point in the game. So, you know, this game feels a lot like me and my friends playing against.
Well, that's what happens. The early leads.
The early lead.
So
the dirty snowball.
That's what CLG wanted. They wanted to just pull this game out of the way. It was just completely out of Quantic's reach, and then they never let up. They had the foot on the throat, and they never let up from Quantic. But I wanted to point out, this isn't a low-income game for CLG, because they are farming effectively. A little bit less than maybe they would be, but they are way ahead of Quantic generally, and it's the early advantages. It just, those early advantages and that early team fight, using their level like 1 through 3 strength, they just completely abused them in that early level situation and then ran it right to a win.
Yeah, I mean, I usually don't think of Nunu as an aggressive champion. But in this situation, with the counter jungling and the...
You have to reevaluate.
You have to reevaluate a little bit. I have to consider, especially early game, when the snowballs, you know, they don't do that much damage overall, but early game when it's, you know, level 2, level 3 snowball, rank 2, rank 3, and they're still low levels, when you have a 2-level advantage over their AP carry, and you're hitting them with a snowball, a rank 3 snowball, or a rank 2, you're going to do a lot of damage, and you're going to be able to play aggressive. And that's what we saw. Chowster knew how to use the early advantage of Nunu to just demolish Quantic.
And again, it's the utility. The attack speed slow shuts down all early game damage because no one's nuking that much at that point in the time. It's all about physical attacks. And then the movement speed picks it up for you. Double lift, he's caught out. If he can get out of this, there's the ultimate, the Maokai Twisted Advance. He is actually going to go down. So Quantic, they get another kill, 20-5. They're going to hang that on their hat. They're going to put that on the refrigerator wall for everyone to see.
Yeah, I mean, it was funny when he threw that ultimate down, it hit 3 people and all their life got chunked down to half. I was like, he's going to do it. He's going to get a triple kill. He's insane. But no, I mean, it was a little bit too much for him to handle. But it just shows the strength and how far ahead CLG is. Yeah, exactly. It just shows how far ahead they are. I mean, Hotshot's taking all the cooldowns. Just you blow all the cooldowns on him. And he's going to sit there and just farm.
Chowster facing Yuzuki, holding on. Not that big of a deal for him. He just backs off. Big Fat coming in. They're going to be able to grab this as well. Loco Doko, he's just keeping an eye on him. Just, you know, hold them in place for Big Fat. He can get the slow. He does just actually go for the damage. So Yuzuki very close to getting out of there. It looks like he actually might escape the wild cards.
Nah, he's got the... Oh, okay, clubbed him pretty hard, but... That's the power Sona. Does a little bit more damage. It's funny in these fights, I'm like, oh, okay, it's Hotshot getting knocked up. Flash is trying to get that. He is so tanky. It's like they have to reconsider whether they want to fight him or not. Yeah. But
they do reconsider.
Yeah, Hotshot is like, I'm just hanging out. But in that last fight, you know, every time I'm like, what are you doing, Chowster? That is a terrible fight. And then TF ports in and like makes the play. I'm like, oh, okay, you're way smarter than I am, and I never expected it.
Caitlyn ultimate?
No, I didn't. No, I did no damage. Yeah, exactly. Did nothing. But Hotshot is extremely tanky. Level 13, when we look at the levels over on Quantic, significantly lower. Yuzuki's level 11, so that's a 2-level advantage over a person in the same lane. Nien is level 9, level 8 right now, compared to Ezreal.
Compared to the 12 on double lift.
Yeah, so there's a significant advantage, which is why we're starting to see CLG start grouping up. And me too. I thought it was disconnected, man.
So scared. Oh my God, they just trolled us so hard on this game because everyone stopped moving for a second. Yeah. And I was like, oh my God, the servers went down again. The game wasn't over yet.
Thank goodness. But I mean, CLG has such a big lead that they can just group and push and just kind of, in a way, I guess the word would be zerg it. They can kind of just attack, move, and just kill things because they're so tanky. And they're gonna have Quantic's gonna have a really hard time defending this turret.
It drops very quickly. Chowster just tanky it. There's the Gragas ultimate. One last hurrah. Can they even take down Hotshot? He's so tanky, but the Sona ultimate with the turnaround. They pick up 3 kills immediately. Double Lift still chasing him down. The flash from Big Fat getting out of that Zyra ultimate. Double Lift just barely not going to get it. The block from Chowster saving Double Lift at the last second. They're going to take down this inhibitor now, and it's probably about 23 seconds away from a surrender, but CLG really impressive play this game, and they were extremely aggressive early on, and they just ran that aggression straight home to a win. And that's the thing. At this high of a level, games will be blowouts very easily. Like, that's not that much of an indicator of Quantic. It's a great indicator of CLG, where they are at as a team. But once you fall behind, as much as they did early on, that's it. It's over.
I'm really, really glad that Locodoco's on the team. Not to give any, not to say Void sucks or anything, but look at the play style change of CLG as a whole. Well, before Locodoco came on, they split push. They did weird backdoor teleport stuff. They did like the poke
every
comp.
Single game with CLG would last forever.
Yeah.
Most of the games. They did some cool strategies where they would have like early aggressive pushing strategies, but most of their games went just 50-minute games, and they would have like really cool poke stuff, and that was great stuff. That was like indicative of CLG's high mechanics, but it wasn't early game victories.
Yeah, it just seemed like it was always some sort of standoff where CLG is poking them down, and then the opponents finally get bored and initiate, and then CLG wins. And it's at 55 minutes, really slow. This is the antithesis of what we saw of the prior CLG. This is the most aggressive I've seen of any North American team ever. Can I say that? Ever. With how rampant TF is going.
Gragas trying to steal. He can't do it. Nunu's holding on to it. Wild Turtle does go down. They're chasing down Elimination as well. Double Lift was on the backside. He actually arcane shifted over to try and take down Gragas. But there's the TF ultimate. He's trying to pick some up. He gets right in range.
Oh, nice.
Double Lift chasing down Caitlyn. Yuzuki and Hyel9. They're the last two survivors, but 5v2. They're going to be able to push in. They're going to be able to take this Nexus, and CLG will be able to win this game. There's the surrender, the Sona ultimate coming off in a random situation, and GG to CLG. This is a new CLG team. I mean, this is incredibly different. This is incredibly aggressive, very impressive play. We're seeing Big Fat, moving out of that mid lane, being a force again. And for a long time, that's not something you could say about CLG. They weren't winning their lanes. They weren't losing, but they weren't, making those plays until later in the game. And then they used their really strong team fighting to win games. But really, again, impressive plays. As far as early aggression, though, you said probably most in the NA, it's up there. But I think you also have to give a tip of the hat to Fear.
Oh, yeah.
When you look at, those early aggressive teams.
Yeah.
But that's something that CLG, the whole NA scene is learning, I think. That's something they're realizing they need to adapt into.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited to see it, particularly with the Season 3 changes coming in.
Yeah, it should be very interesting. I'm really proud of them. Their playstyle is so different.
They're growing up right before
They're growing
eyes.
up, and I was watching a lot of Big Fat LP's cooldowns on his ultimate, and it was never up for more than like 20-30 seconds in most cases. It's like they were timing their attacks where it's like, okay, now go full aggressive, Nunu, go stupid, because I'm going to be there, I'm going to clean up, and it's going to be awesome.
And a lot of times it's kind of like Quantic, it's because they're hitting it right at the cooldowns, it's right about the point in time where Quantic is going to be like, hey guys, watch out, Big Fat's ult is, oh shit!
Exactly.
It's just they weren't giving them a time to react, but it was the early levels won them that match. Very impressive play.
Very impressive.
Chalster in the jungle. Hotshot always looks. He was growing. He was looking solid in situations. In team fights, he was very strong as that tank. He works well in that tank role. But Chalster is very aggressive. He's definitely a fearsome jungler in the NA scene and potentially globally. But that's going to have to wait. That's going to have to wait to see if CLG if they match up against some of these international teams, if they can make it into IPL5.
Yeah,
and how they can do.
We'll see how they do, because I mean they have.
It's still not over.
It's not over. They have immediately after this, guys. We're going to have CLG versus Absolute Legends right now. It's going to happen like right now, any second, and that's going to be casted by Hat Person and Torch. Should be awesome. But then tomorrow, in the middle of the day, they're going to be playing against Dignitas, and that could be the deciding match. We'll see how Dignitas does against some of these other teams, but that could be the match that decides everything. Is Dignitas strong enough, capable enough to withstand the early game pressure that we're seeing from this new CLG team? And tomorrow we're going to find out.
Well, and also Quantic right now, they're in a situation where they have to hope for a three-way tie, and they have to hope that Dignitas beats CLG and then Quantic beats Dignitas. So that's always a possible situation. And if there's a three-way tie, there's a reset of this round robin minus the last place team. So Absolute Legends, they're still in it as well. They could be part of that three-way tie. No team is out of it yet. So it's definitely a cool situation. Once again, guys, IGN.com/IPL giveaways. You can check that out. We're giving away VIP passes to IPL5 if you'd like to come. Instagram, #IPL5. Go there, check it out. Thanks
and if you want to come to IPL5, IGN.com/IPL5, buy tickets, get a hotel room, have fun in Vegas. It should be a really good time. In the meantime, hit us up on Twitter. I'm Nick Allen, IGN. This is Baroncast. I'm looking at the thing there. Baroncast, let us know what you thought of those matches and how you think CLG is going to do against Absolute Legends. Can Absolute Legends, this early aggression is going to be really difficult for them to overcome. Can they do it? They've been looking strong lately. We're going to find out immediately after this.
Consistency from CLG.
Exactly.
That's another thing to keep on. So we'll be right back, guys. We're going to a quick commercial break, and we'll be back shortly with CLG versus Absolute Legends in a moment.